Have you ever been driving down a dark, lonely road late at night? The kind of road where the trees lean in and the only light comes from your headlights cutting through the blackness. You feel a little on edge, a little spooked. Now imagine you see something up ahead. It's not a deer, it's not another car, it's something big, something with glowing red eyes, and it's looking right at you. This isn't just a scene from a horror movie. For some people in a small West Virginia town, this was their reality. It was the beginning of a mystery that still haunts the Ohio Valley, a story that asks us if the monsters we read about could actually be real. It's a tale that starts with a whisper and ends with a scream that echoes through history. The story of Mothman begins in the autumn of 1966, a time when the world was changing fast, but some places like rural West Virginia still held on to their old world quiet. That quiet was shattered on November 12th. 5 men were digging a grave in a cemetery near Clendenin, a small, unassuming town. As they worked, something incredible happened. They looked up and saw a figure lift off from the nearby trees. It wasn't a bird, it was man-shaped, dark brown, and it soared silently over their heads. They were stunned, left speechless by what they had witnessed. They didn't know it yet, but they were the first witnesses to a phenomenon that would soon grip the entire region in a state of fear and fascination. This was just the opening act. The real terror would begin a few days later, just miles away in the city of Point Pleasant. This town, nestled where the Kanawha and Ohio rivers meet, was about to become the epicenter of one of America's most chilling legends. The story that started in that quiet cemetery was about to get a name, a terrifying description, and a reputation that would far outlive the initial sightings. The people of Point Pleasant had no idea that their lives were about to be turned upside down by something that seemed to crawl out of their worst nightmares. They were about to meet the creature that the press would soon dub the Mothman. The world was on the brink of the space race, looking to the stars for new frontiers. But in this corner of Appalachia, something ancient and unknown seemed to be looking back. The initial sighting in Clendenin was strange, but it lacked the terrifying details that would come later. It was a prelude, a quiet warning before the main event. What was this thing? Was it an animal unknown to science? Was it something from another dimension? Or was it just a trick of the light, a product of tired minds on a lonely evening? These questions would soon be asked by everyone in town, as the creature made itself known in a much more direct and terrifying way. The legend truly took flight on the night of November 15, 1966. 2 young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Millette, were driving near an abandoned World War II munitions plant. This place was known locally as the TNT area, a sprawling, eerie collection of concrete domes and decaying buildings. It was a place kids went to get a thrill, but the thrill they found that night was all too real. As they passed one of the old power plants, their headlights caught something standing in the darkness. It was tall, maybe 6 or 7 feet, with a massive wingspan that folded behind its back. But the thing that froze them with fear was its eyes. They were huge, red, and seemed to glow with their own internal light. Paralyzed by what they saw, Roger Scarberry, who was driving, slammed his foot on the gas pedal. The car screeched away, tires smoking on the pavement as they sped back toward the highway. But the creature wasn't done with them. They looked in the rearview mirror and saw it lift off the ground, its huge wings spreading out as it took to the air. It began to chase them. The creature easily kept pace with their car, even as they pushed the speedometer past 100 miles per hour. It didn't seem to flap its wings. It just glided effortlessly through the air, its terrifying red eyes fixed on them. The couples later said it made a strange sound, like a giant mouse squeaking, as it pursued them down the dark country road. When they finally reached the city limits of Point Pleasant, the creature broke off its pursuit and disappeared back into the darkness. Shaken and terrified, the 4 drove straight to the Mason County Courthouse to report what they had seen to Deputy Millard Halstead. He listened to their story, noting how genuinely frightened they were. He knew these couples. They weren't known for making up stories. Halstead later went out to the TNT area himself, but found nothing out of the ordinary. But the story was out. The local newspaper, the Point Pleasant Register, ran a headline that screamed, "Couples see man-sized bird, creature, something." An editor jokingly gave it the name Mothman, after a villain from the Batman TV series, and the name stuck. Suddenly, everyone had a story. Over the next 13 months, more than 100 people reported seeing the Mothman. The descriptions were eerily consistent. a tall, gray or brown humanoid figure with a 10-foot wingspan, and those hypnotic, glowing red eyes. Some witnesses heard a high-pitched screeching sound, while others reported that the creature's presence was accompanied by strange electronic interference, causing their car radios and televisions to go haywire. The TNT area became the creature's unofficial lair, and people started to wonder what dark secret the old, abandoned factory held. The town was buzzing with fear, excitement, and a single burning question: what was this thing? For 13 months, the sightings continued. People saw the Mothman perched on buildings, flying over the Ohio River, and lurking in the shadows of the TNT area. It became a local bogeyman, a terrifying figure that haunted the community. While some were scared, others grew curious, turning the legend into a local phenomenon. But as 1967 drew to a close, the story took a dark and tragic turn. The Mothman went from being a mysterious creature to being seen as a harbinger of doom, an omen of a catastrophe that would scar the town forever. The sightings, which had been frequent, suddenly began to dwindle, as if the creature's purpose was nearing its end. On December 15, 1967, at the height of rush hour, the Silver Bridge shuttered. This massive I-bar chain suspension bridge connected Point Pleasant, West Virginia, to Gallipolis, Ohio, and it was packed with holiday traffic. Without warning, a single critical I-bar in the suspension chain snapped due to a tiny stress fracture. The failure cascaded, and in less than a minute, the entire bridge twisted and collapsed into the icy waters of the Ohio River. Dozens of cars plunged into the freezing river below. In the end, 46 people lost their lives in the disaster. It was a national tragedy, and for the people of Point Pleasant, it was an unimaginable horror that happened right on their doorstep. In the aftermath of the tragedy, as the community grieved, a chilling connection was made. People started to remember the Mothman. They recalled how the sightings had all taken place in the year leading up to the collapse. Some even claimed to have seen the creature on or near the bridge in the days just before it fell. The narrative began to shift. Was the Mothman a monster that caused the disaster? Or was it something else entirely? Many locals came to believe that the creature wasn't a malevolent force, but a warning. They thought it was trying to alert them to the impending doom, a silent sentinel whose presence was meant to signal the tragedy to come. This connection cemented the Mothman's place in folklore forever. It was no longer just a weird monster seen by a few people on a back road. It was now inextricably linked to one of the worst bridge disasters in American history. After the collapse of the Silver Bridge, the sightings of Mothman stopped almost completely. It was as if its mission, whatever it may have been, was complete. The creature vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared, leaving behind a legacy of fear, sorrow, and enduring mystery. Was it just a coincidence, or was there truly a supernatural connection between the winged creature and the fallen bridge? So, what was the Mothman? Over the decades, investigators, believers, and skeptics have proposed numerous theories to explain the strange events in Point Pleasant. One of the most common and grounded explanations is that people simply misidentified a large bird. The sandhill crane, for instance, is a very large bird that can stand nearly as tall as a person and has a wingspan of over 7 feet. Some have reddish coloring around their eyes. It's possible that an out-of-place crane, startled by headlights and disoriented, could have been mistaken for something more monstrous in the dark. The problem with this theory is the glowing eyes and the creature's reported ability to keep up with a speeding car, which doesn't quite fit a crane's behavior. Another prominent theory points to mass hysteria. The story begins with one dramatic, terrifying encounter by the Scarberries and Millettes. The news media, hungry for a sensational story, amplifies it. Soon, the entire town is on edge, and the power of suggestion takes over. In this state of heightened anxiety, every shadow in the dark, every strange noise, and every large bird becomes the Mothman. People see what they expect to see. The theory argues that there was no real creature, just a shared delusion fueled by fear and local gossip. It's a compelling psychological explanation, but it doesn't satisfy the witnesses who swear that what they saw was a solid physical being, not just a figment of their imagination. Of course, we have to look at the more paranormal explanations because this is where the story gets really interesting. Some researchers, like the famous author John Keel, who wrote the Mothman Prophecies, believed the creature was not an animal at all. Keel suggested it was an ultra-terrestrial, a being from another dimension that coexists with our own. He linked the Mothman sightings to a spike in UFO reports, poltergeist activity, and encounters with mysterious men in black in the area at the same time. In this view, Mothman was just one piece of a much larger, high strangeness puzzle, a supernatural entity whose appearance signaled a disruption in the fabric of reality. Finally, there's the theory that points a finger at the TNT area itself. This was a place where volatile chemicals and munitions were manufactured and stored for years. Some have speculated that the creature could have been a mutated animal, a product of chemical contamination. Others have suggested a more conspiratorial angle, that the government was conducting secret experiments at the abandoned site. Perhaps the Mothman was a military drone or an experimental biological weapon that escaped containment. This theory provides a man-made explanation for the creature's bizarre appearance and abilities, blending Cold War paranoia with local folklore to create a truly chilling possibility. No matter what you believe, the Mothman has become a permanent part of Point Pleasant's identity. The town has embraced its most famous and feared resident. Far from hiding from its strange past, the community celebrates it. Every year, thousands of people from all over the world flock to the annual Mothman Festival, a weekend dedicated to the legend. They come to hear lectures from paranormal researchers, meet original witnesses, and take part in Mothman-themed hayrides and pancake-eating contests. It's a fascinating blend of spooky folklore and small-town charm, a testament to how a community can turn a story of fear into a source of pride and tourism. The most prominent landmark in town is a stunning, 12-foot-tall, polished steel statue of the Mothman. It stands in the middle of town, its metallic wings spread wide and its piercing red eyes staring out at visitors. It's a popular spot for photos, a permanent monument to the creature that once terrified the populace. Just a few steps away from the statue is the Mothman Museum, the world's only museum dedicated to the legend. It's filled with police reports from 1966, witness accounts, newspaper clippings, and props from the Hollywood movie. It's a place where you can dive deep into the evidence and decide for yourself what really happened here all those years ago. So, what is the legacy of the Mothman? Is it a true story of a monster that haunted a small town? Is it a cautionary tale about how fear and suggestion can create a modern myth? Or is it something deeper, a story about how we cope with tragedy? The legend is forever tied to the Silver Bridge disaster. For many, Mothman represents the unexplainable nature of fate and the search for meaning in the face of random, senseless loss. By seeing the creature as an omen, the community found a way to frame the tragedy within a larger, more mystical narrative, making it something more than just a catastrophic structural failure. The mystery of Mothman endures because it touches on our most basic human fears: the fear of the dark, the fear of the unknown, and the fear that we are not alone. Whether it was a bird, a shared hallucination, or a visitor from another world, the story of Mothman serves as a powerful reminder that there are still corners of our world that defy easy explanation. It encourages us to keep looking, to keep asking questions, and to never lose our sense of wonder, or our healthy respect for what might be lurking just beyond the reach of our headlights on a dark, lonely road. The truth is still out there,